Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio and welcome to week 40 of the Stash Buster block series. Our block this week is called This and That, and you can see this is a square and a square block. So I'm going to adjust the camera and show you the fabrics you need to make this block. Here are the pieces you're going to need where your outside edges are going to be on the straight of grain. You're going to start with your background fabric, and you're going to need two pieces that are 4 3/4 of an inch square, and then you're going to cut it diagonally times 1. And this is the center piece, and this one is 4 1/2 inches square. And then the color pieces, you're going to need 2 squares that are 3 3/4 of an inch square, and then you're going to cut it diagonally times 1, so just on one diagonal. So we're going to build this block from the inside out, and the 4 1/2 inch square is your center, and you're going to use the color fabric, and you're going to sew those on first. And I like to do opposite sides to begin with, and to do that I'm going to find the centers of the sides of the square, and I'm just going to finger press, and I'll do the other side just by matching up my raw edges and just finger press those. So there we have that. Now these triangles I'm going to do the same. Now this is the bias edge, so you want to be careful with that, but I'm going to fold the triangle in half and finger press there at that middle point. Now if you do this so that you have your wrong sides together, just keep it folded, and fold your square right there where that crease is, and just tuck that right inside, and then you've got them all aligned. Now if you want to, you can place a pin in there to hold it, and you can take that to the sewing machine and sew it. And ideally you should have the same amount of fabric sticking out of the sides on both sides. Mine looks pretty much the same, so I think we're doing okay there. And you can also do the same for your other side, so you can do do 2 sides at a time. Find your centers and then tuck that in right where your crease is, and then pin it. And then we'll take it to the sewing machine and we'll sew these 2 seams. Okay, I have my 50 weight thread in my needle and my bobbin, and my stitch length is at 2.5, and I have my 1/4 inch piecing foot on, so I'm all ready to go. And we're just going to sew this seam. Okay, then I'm just going to swing it around and do the same to the other side. Just make sure your raw edges are lined up. Okay, now we're going to press these open before we sew on the other 2 triangles. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and press it flat and then press them open. So I'm pressing towards the dark fabric. Okay, now I'm going to find the center of this square on the opposite sides and finger press, and I'll do the same to this side. And then find the center of the triangles. So put your wrong sides together on this, and I'm using a batik, so there's really no right or wrong side, but sometimes there's one side I prefer over the other. And we're going to tuck that in to the crease here. And then I'll put my pin in. I'm going to do the other side also. And this one doesn't really matter too much, which is the right or the wrong. They both look the same. And place my pin, and then we're ready to sew those two seams. Okay, so I'm going to line up my raw edges again. They're kind of shifted on me a little bit, so I'll get those lined up. And then we'll do the other side. Okay, and now we're going to take this to the mat and press those two seams. Okay, these are ready to be pressed, and we're going to press them open. Okay, now you'll notice we have dog ears, and I always trim off my dog ears, and I know a lot of people don't, so that is up to you, but I do find that it helps to reduce the bulk and helps the piecing be more accurate. So I will trim those off, and my little snips are a little bit dull, so I'll switch over to my big scissors. Okay, now I'm ready to sew on the last set of triangles. Okay, so the next set of triangles need to go on, and we're going to do the same thing. We're using the long edge that has the bias edge on it. Those are going to go around. So we're going to do these two. I'm going to do these two triangles first, and we already have our center mark where the points are. So the points of your square is a center mark there, so you just need to find the center of your triangle. So fold that with the wrong sides together and find your center, and just line that up with your point. And pin it in place. And we're going to do the same with this side. Just fold it, line it up with the point, and then open it and pin it in place. Okay, those two are ready to be sewn now. Okay, when you sew these triangles on, instead of sewing from this side, sew from this side so that you can see where that point is, where your threads are crossing on your inner square. You want to go sew just to the right side of that. So in the seam area, you want to stitch 1 to 2 threads over so that you get a nice sharp point. So you want to place it so your outside triangle is down, so like this, and then sew your seam. And as you get to that point, I'm going to get my edges lined up. Watch where those stitching lines cross and just stitch right to to the right side of those. And if if your stitching was perfect the first time around, you won't have to make too much of an adjustment. So what you want is that. You want to be able to see all of your point there. So we've got the two sides. The side is already done. And yeah, that one's not. There we go. There's that one. Okay, so we're going to press these and then we'll add the other two triangles. Okay, I'm going to press it flat and then press the triangles open. Okay, now I'm going to add the last two triangles, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to, first thing I'm going to do is move my iron out of the way so I don't burn myself. Okay, fold this in half and find the halfway mark and finger press it, and then we're going to pin this in place. And then I'm going to turn it and do the same thing. And find another pin. Okay. All right. Now we're ready to sew. I'm going to turn it so I can see the point again. And line up all my raw edges there. Okay. Now let's press and take a look at the block. Okay, so now we're ready to press. So we're going to go ahead and press it flat and then press open. So you do have your lights, you're pressing towards your light fabric instead of your dark. But I prefer to do that because you can see your points better when you do that on this block. So anyway, that's the way I do it. Okay. Last thing I have to do is trim off the dog ears. And there we have our this and that block. Here I have 4 of the this and that blocks pinned up on my design wall. And this is another one of those symmetrical blocks that it doesn't matter which way you turn it, it's going to look the same in the setting. So if you put them side by side, this is the look that you will get, and that will give you kind of an alternate block with, it would look like a solid block between the purple blocks in this particular color scheme here. So that is how that would look with they're all side by side. Of course, you can pair them up with a different block, use an alternate solid block, do sashing, just use it as one block in a sampler. There's a lot of different things you can do with that. But there we go. This is the block that is called This and That. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video on the This and That block. It's basically just a square and a square, but that is one of the names that I found in my research on this block. So I think this could be a versatile block. Lots of things you could do with it in a quilt. I hope you'll give this one a try. So if you like this video, please don't forget to click the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and click that notification bell so you'll be notified when the next video comes up. And in the meantime, I hope you're all staying safe and healthy, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links. And to keep up with my latest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.